That's why they're surveilling. That's why they're admitting they're surveilling now, because they know they've committed crimes. They know they're run by crooks, and they are scared.
Yes, but what we have to do is understand our power to change this. You know, we're talking about a handful of people in full knowledge manipulating the lives of billions. What are we doing?
Well, that's why you've written the new book, Mankind, Get Off Your Knees.
Yeah, Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, it's called. It's just out, and the subtitle is The Lion Sleeps No More, because within us is a lion. It is the real human being being suppressed by the human being that has been programmed to think it has no power, the human being to fear authority, to fear the consequences of taking on authority, of refusing to cooperate with authority. That's the lion I'm talking about within people, and that lion is starting to come out, but it needs to come out in very much larger numbers.
And we need the police and the military and others who are starting to wake up to realize you're compartmentalized as well. The globalists have genetically modified the GMO food to sterilize and give you cancer. They add the chemicals of the water to sterilize you and give you cancer. We have all the government documents we've covered. Even Fox News reported yesterday that Maryland has banned the bisphenol A that they're putting in the plastic products that does sterilize men. I mean, the White House science czar admits they're doing this. You are under attack, too. And David, you've talked about compartmentalization. We need to get the police and military to realize, even if they consciously see themselves as on the winning team and part of the New World Order, they're not. They are seen by the New World Order as an even bigger enemy than the general public in the globalist documents we've gotten.
This is a point I think is very important to stress to those in uniform and to those in the dark suits in government who are serving this system while not actually instigating it, they're serving it. You have no power. I don't care if you're in the military. I don't care if you've got how many kind of stars on your uniform. I don't care what level of the police force you're in. I don't care if you're doing roadblocks. I don't care if you're pulling people off the street. I don't care what you're doing. You have no power. Your uniform has the power. Take your uniform off, okay? Put it in the wardrobe. Where's your power? Go and get another job. Without that uniform, where's your power? You have no power. You are employed to animate that uniform, which is an extension of the state, and that's all you are, and therefore you are expendable. While you give your soul away, while you give your mind away, while you give your morals and decency away, advancing this fascist dictatorship, you will be okay with the fascists that you're serving. But your children and your grandchildren have to live in the world you are creating. And one day you're going to have to understand that, and I don't envy you that moment, because it's going to be horrific when it dawns upon you the world that you've actually created. The people in uniform and the dark suits that administer the system while not being the originators of it, they have to start breaking ranks, okay? Get some backbone, open your mind, look at what's going on, and get some frickin' backbone before you administer and impose and enforce a world that will be grotesque for your children and grandchildren. In fact, not even that, for yourself. Eventually.
Yeah, you're not going to have to wait now for your kids to be destroyed.
No, you're not. Absolutely.
And David, very well said there. I want to try to keep you 5 minutes into the next hour before Sheriff Richard Mack, so we have as much time as possible to go over issues. But I really do see the denial lifting. People, a lot of them don't have even a partial view of what's going on, but they know something's wrong, and that's why I challenge people to don't expect you're going to save the world by yourself or overnight. Hollywood pushes that image of Arnold Schwarzenegger or John Wayne saving everybody, and people always look to me, they look to you, others, Ron Paul, you've got to save us. No, it's that act of defiance, that act of awakening, that act of courage. Resistance is victory, and it's understanding the enemy, and it's everybody speaking out. One little cricket isn't very loud, but you get a field of those, it is a deafening roar, and we're a lot bigger and more powerful than a cricket, and we've all just got to do little things every day and realize what's going on, and this system will come to a halt, and they know that, and they are desperate to throw us into a crisis, to make themselves matter, to make us beach ourselves on their government. government, on their corporate structure, and so many people within their system are starting to defect. So many people that have become powerful off their system call me, contact me, talk to me off record, and they say, I wish I would have known this. So many people that even work for the system are compartmentalized, and now through my broadcast, your work, and others, they can finally see the larger paradigm around them from the cog that they filled. And so by getting that full spectrum analysis, they can then see the full spectrum dominance that the globalists have built. I mean, Rothkopf, who we had on the show, who wrote Superclass, says there's less than 6,000 people that rule the world and only 20 families that they serve. So this is now admitted publicly. And we can defeat these people. We must defeat these people. During the break, I said, what do you think is most important to finish off with? And he said, Albert Pike's letter. And I've read his book, Morals and Dogma. Of course, this letter is reported to be at the British Naval Museum. He was a Confederate general, the founder of the Klan, a British agent trying to break up the U.S. with the Civil War. And all of that's been confirmed. But this letter is just amazing, the way it predicted everything they've done. So go over some of that letter, the 3 phases, in the last 5 minutes, David. Go ahead.
Well, Albert Pike, who, of course, was a massive, massive Freemason, an absolute Freemasonic god. And, of course, his statue is in Washington, D.C., right next to Washington, D.C. police headquarters, which is quite appropriate, I would say. We're dealing with Freemasonry. And it's alleged that he wrote this letter to a guy called Mazzini, a very infamous Illuminati operative. And he predicted in this letter 3 world wars that were coming. It was alleged to have been sent in or written in 1871. And the First World War, he talks about the overthrow of the Tsars in Russia and making the country a fortress of atheist communism, etc. He talks about bringing the British and Germanic empires into the war. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists, and talks about things that happened then. But the point that it leads to is the Third World War, which really, I mean, I've been saying for years that's the plan, which it is. And the description in the letter of the Third World War is absolutely describing the period we're going through now. He says this: the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and atheists. We shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. And he talks about the fact that they're going to make, in effect, the global society so full of turmoil, so full of upheaval, that the people will turn to the few, the cabal, and say, save us from it, and the cabal will then say, well, to do that, we must do this. And
we know in 1919, these are confirmed, Lord Milner repeated it about creating a Germanic superstate to start a new war, and we know they used World War I for the League of Nations. We have the Carnegie documents about World War II being engineered. I mean, this is real.
Yeah, I mean, Milner was the head of a secret society in London called the Round Table, which spawned the Trilateral Commission and the Council on Foreign Relations, the Royal Institute of International Affairs. It spawned, of course, the Club of Rome, the Bilderberg Group eventually. And
David, we're almost out of time. Do you agree?
House of Rothschild is at the absolute center of this in the human world, if you like.
And David, we're almost out of time. You've agreed to come back on sooner rather than later. I'd like to get you on the next month because a quickening is happening. But do you agree briefly, we are on the cusp of what could be World War III? They are pushing us in that direction.
Oh, exactly. That's always been the plan. 3 world wars to change the world to a global fascist dictatorship. We do not have to play their game. It's time to say no. No more.
David, amazing. I look forward to speaking to you in the near future. Let me say bye to you during this break. Sheriff Richard Mack with solutions on taking back our county. Straight ahead. Stay with us.
Has no power, the human being, to fear authority, to fear the consequences of taking on authority, of refusing to cooperate with authority. That's the lion I'm talking about within people, and that lion is starting to come out, but it needs to come out in very much larger numbers.
And we need the police and the military and others who are starting to wake up to realize you're compartmentalized as well. The glove attack, too. And David, you've talked about compartmentalization. We need to get the police and military to realize, even if they consciously see themselves as on the winning team and part of the New World Order, they're not. They are seen by the New World Order as an even bigger enemy than the general public in the globalist documents we've gotten.
This is a point.
Globalists have genetically modified the GMO food to sterilize and give you cancer. They add the chemicals of the water to sterilize you and give you cancer. We have all the government documents we've covered. Even Fox News reported yesterday that Maryland has banned the bisphenol A that they're putting in the plastic products that does sterilize men. I mean, the White House science czar admits they're doing this. You are under a... Well, that's why you've written the new book, Mankind, Get Off Your Knees.
Yeah, Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, it's called. It's just out, and the subtitle is The Lion Sleeps No More, because within us is a lion. It is the real human being being suppressed by the human being that has been programmed to think it has.
That's why they're surveilling. That's why they're admitting they're surveilling now, because they know they've committed crimes. They know they're run by crooks, and they are scared.
Yes, but what we have to do is understand our power to change this. You know, we're talking about a handful of people in full knowledge manipulating the lives of billions. What are we doing?